I'm going to dive into this. We've had a lot of fun on the show. It's The Last Look, brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. And I think this is out of bounds. You go ahead and play it. And this is whom? Set it up so that everybody knows who this is, and then you're welcome to tweet at him.
Okay, so this is TJ Perry, a radio show host of KREF, which is a radio station in Norman, Oklahoma. I'm going to say up front, to be fair, they like kind of do like a clean Howard Stern-ish type show. They are funny. It's kind of like Howard Stern meets college football. Is that fair to say? So they do try to add humor, but
well, no, because I think Howard Stern is one of the best interviewers of all time. So I don't think they compare. I'm not
saying they compare, but I mean, what they try
I don't think they can take out Howard Stern's trash.
They try to do humor, is what I'm saying. And so,
we do humor, but we don't make fun of people being fat.
Yeah, and so this is I'm going to play the clip, and you guys let me know what you think. This is what he said, TJ Perry said about Josh Heupel, I believe, yesterday. So here we go. I'm just going to play it now.
I've just heard from a friend that says, hey, I've got a blow-up 6-foot turkey I put out for Thanksgiving. You can take down there for you to put out.
Again, this is TJ making fun of one of the greatest Sooners of all time.
But he's got a turkey neck. What do you want me to say?
Thank you.
I'm just telling it like it is.
Thank you for leading us to our
Thank you for the national championship. I loved it. But now he's enemy number one. SEC game 1. He's enemy number 1. Let's go kick him.
Yeah. Do we pay tribute to him before the game or no?
No.
Okay. Couple things to unpack there. Turkey neck, I guess you could argue I have a little bit of one. It's what happens when you get older and you've carried extra weight in your life. The second thing is, do you honor him? Well, hell yeah, you honor him. He won you a national championship. You at least do something for him. Let's start with number 1. Was that out of bounds, Caleb?
So I was trying to, because I had never heard the phrase turkey neck before. So I was doing my research on it. And turkey neck refers to people who have like loose skin on their neck, I guess, right? That's the joke. Typically, if you have loose skin on your neck and you're making fun of somebody about it, you're making fun of the fact that they have had extra weight put on. So there's really no way around it. It's fat shaming, isn't it?
No, it didn't take me that long to think about it. Absolutely. And Philip Fulmer used to have a nickname. Again, I'm not going to repeat it, but probably a lot of you all know it, that referred to his head as well. And it was basically fat shaming as well. And I always found it interesting that among the media members that use that term, it was most oftentimes the guys who broke the least amount of news and did the worst work that used that. So to me, it's an easy way out to get attention. It worked because we're talking about it. And there was a part of me, and I want to hear from you on the message board. There was a part of me that maybe didn't even want to talk about it. But I think it's important in that he should be received as a quarterback that won them a national championship. I mean, for goodness sake, there was talk T. Martin could be an assistant coach at Tennessee. Now, we all know in retrospect that Butch Jones gave him a sham interview and he was never really a candidate. But T. Martin, if he had gotten fired as part of that Butch Jones staff, would you not still celebrate him if he came back to Tennessee? I mean, let's say he's the head coach of Miami. I'm just throwing a random team out. Head coach of Miami, or the head coach of South Carolina, which is a doable type of job given his coaching career and path. Wouldn't you, when he comes back to South Carolina, when he comes back to Knoxville, Neyland Stadium, wouldn't you honor him with at least a couple of lines that Jeff Jarnigan, the PA announcer, could say positive about T. Martin? I'm not saying stop the game and shine his ring or anything, but goodness gracious, that to me, if you're trying to be funny, And if those guys see this and you want me to come on your show, I'll tell you exactly how that's not funny. And it's sad and it's lazy is what it is. We talk about turnover differential in this game. You talk about a guy, or in this show, you talk about a guy's neck before the game.
Talk about a guy's neck who not only did he win you your only national championship in the last 40 years, but he also was your offensive coordinator for 4 years. And as we have now found out, was totally railroaded by Bob Stoops, your head coach at that time, who ended up, a lot of people don't know this, but Bob Stoops retired. He retired because of the Joe Mixon scandal. I'm just going to tell you guys that straight up. He retired because of the really bad look for the Joe Mixon thing. And so retired from a bad look of a bad scandal. And quite honestly, we're finding out now that he was unfairly railroaded and he never wanted to leave Oklahoma. So you guys are coming at him because, oh, he's the enemy. He didn't want to be the enemy. He'd have loved to have stayed at Oklahoma and been on the trajectory to a head coach and never had a chance to do it. And you're right. I don't know if Tennessee would honor T. Martin if South Carolina, if like say what your scenario, South Carolina goes to visit Tennessee, T. Martin's coaching South Carolina. I don't know if you honor him that week. I don't know if you want those distractions, but like you don't like. No Tennessee fan would ever say negative things about T. Martin. Ever. Like that would never be done. No one would make fun of his looks. And we have two examples of this, by the way. The Lady Vols have had to fire 2 head coaches. That one was Pat Summitt's right-hand woman throughout all of her national championships, the first All-American in Holly Warlick, and then the next was Kelly Harper. We never attacked their character. We never attacked their looks. We never attacked anything like that, and we never would. Because there's no reason to, because again, that's what they did as head coaches that did not work out. Takes away nothing from what they did as players for the university. And no one would ever attack what they looked like. It's weird, it's bitter, it's petty, and it's what I said at the top of the show. Oklahoma fans are really, and Oklahoma media and Oklahoma people covering them. This goes back to last week with the shots that were being taken at Josh Heupel from that other Sooners podcast. They're really insecure about the fact that they know they should have Josh Heupel right now. And not
I was going to lead you to that because people are saying that in the message board. And I think you nailed it. Those comments say one thing. They're not confident. They're scared. Stanley says very much cheap shot at a great player and a better coach. And here's the thing too, guys. I mean, I've been way fatter than Josh Heupel. And it's been something that I've dealt with. Now, somebody said that you make fun of Butch Jones's hair. Well, that's just a bad decision. Okay. I mean,
you can do something about your hair.
Yeah. I mean, oftentimes when you're overweight, there's some sort of oral fixation or there's some sort of something psychologically that makes you consume too much. Now, I'm not saying you can't overcome it. And I'm not defending all fat people. I wasn't defending myself for getting fat a couple times, 3-4 times in my life. But, yeah, there's a big difference between Butch Jones's hair and, I mean, really, I've been around Josh Heupel recently. He's not that overweight. You're really just taking a shot at him physically, and it's not as much a weight shot as just the way he looks. He could probably drop 40 pounds and still have a little bit of loose skin around his neck. I mean, if you look back at him when he was a player, he kind of had that recessed chin. He doesn't have a big jawbone. So I do, which probably makes up for my semi-turkey neck, but I don't know. Found it very distasteful. And again, this should be one of your heroes. There's a statue of him.
I don't think there is a statue of him because he technically didn't win a Heisman. Isn't that what we learned yesterday? They do statues for their Heisman winners.
Oh, I thought it was statue for national championship. Excuse me.
Statues for their Heisman winners. Yeah, and by the way, I'll be straight up with you. In some cases, I think fat shaming I think it actually contributes to the obesity crisis in this country, for being honest. By the way, Josh Heupel's not obese, so I don't even know why I'm bringing that up. But I would say that if you're going to fat shame or make fun of people for their looks, I don't mind it for players who need to be in shape. I didn't mind Kobe fat shaming Shaq when Shaq got out of shape, and because it's his job to be in shape and go win titles, right? And yes. I have no problem, and I will always do it to this day. I will fat shame Jamarcus Russell because he got that big contract, and as Stephen A. said, spent all that money on a bunch of donuts.
Okay, now let me ask you this serious question. Last Look brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. Very serious question here, and that is, this was brought up to me back in the 2000s by somebody I respect a lot, said there's a contention that how can you expect your players to be in elite shape if you're not in at least good shape? Okay, last look brought to you by Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn. We'd save the best for last. Look at me, LASIK, no contacts, and no glasses. I'll tell you exactly how I lost the weight.
To visit ccteyes.com. The information you need is easy to access, and setting an appointment is as simple as clicking the tab. Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Hahn, and Eye Care Optical at ccteyes.com. Simply the best.
Okay, that argument under Philip Fulmer, did it ever hold water? How can he expect his players to be disciplined? Disciplined, I think I said in shape, but I didn't mean that. Disciplined off the field, which would include not getting in trouble, if he can't be disciplined from a nutrition standpoint. I never thought that. I don't want to be misquoted as that, okay? But that there were a lot of people who thought that in the early 2000s when Tennessee was slipping in discipline.
Here's why I don't think that's fair. Philip Fulmer's job is not to stay in shape on the field. We don't know, and we know this with people, somebody would like Philip Fulmer. Think of all the things that go into coaching. Say you're a former offensive lineman, right? Fulmer's a former offensive lineman. So he's already a bigger guy, right? Just naturally.
Yes.
Now he's coaching football, and it's such a high stress job that if the stress is working out every day to stay in shape and condition like the players do, then he probably would be in shape. And his stress is flying across the country to talk to recruits all the time, sitting in an office for 8 hours studying film. That type of stress adds weight to people who are typically bigger already. So it's even harder sometimes to lose weight. So it's not like, put it this way, it's not like Philip Fulmer got big because he was lazy and wanting to stuff his face. You know what I mean? Like Jamarcus Russell. Yeah, I'm going to keep throwing shots at him because he's the most disgraceful person to ever be an NFL player. And
you bring up a really good point. When I used to travel a lot, it was darn near impossible to not eat poorly. And I had an expense account. I mean, I could go someplace, but if you needed to churn something fast and eat something so you could get back and right, yeah, I made poor eating choices, and it was much more difficult. And Philip Fulmer was one of the greatest recruiters that I've ever seen. So he was on the road a lot more than most head coaches. So people ask me how I'll lose weight. I just decided, I guess about 3 years ago, I was just going to lift a lot. And so I added muscle mass, and eventually that offset the amount of food I eat. It's not what you want to hear because everybody wants to be in bikini shape in 2 weeks, Caleb, but it was about a 2-year process.
bikini season for me all year round.
And frankly, I've gone the other way recently, which I'm working on. You called me this morning, and what was I doing?
Oh, he was lifting. Yeah,
I was huffing. I just maybe they can have me on, and I can be turkey neck number.
Well, and also let's be fair. When people say that, I mean, which head coach in the NFL has won 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls?
Oh yeah,
Andy Reid. I don't think anybody. And by the way, have you noticed his players go to war for him a lot? And so he's a player's coach. They love him. I think coaching in the NFL is overrated. I mean, when you got a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you and I could probably win a Super Bowl here or there. But yeah,
I would disagree with that because I thought he was limited with Donovan McNabb and got the most out of the Eagles. I think he's ahead of the curve.
Oh, I think so too. But people always say that, but he never won a Super Bowl until he got Patrick Mahomes. It's not like he won a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb.
Well, Derek Dooley looked like he could be on the front of a Sears catalog, but I'll tell you right now, I think you'd rather have Josh Heupel than Derek Dooley, right?
Derek Dooley is. If you were doing a casting call for someone to play an SEC coach in a movie, Derek Dooley could play that role, right? With his accent and his haircut and the way he looks. Like, whenever Hollywood does a movie, that's Derek Dooley.
I'm going to share something else. And I don't mean to go off on a tangent here, but always fear the good-looking coach. Because just like women are great salesmen in some positions, you make decisions sometimes off what you see visually and the impression that makes. I know of one high school coach that's a friend of mine that he has not gotten jobs because he's shorter, maybe a little overweight like me. And a good-looking dude got it. So I thought that when Lane Kiffin was hired, I was like, uh-oh. You know, because he's a good-looking guy. Always fear the good-looking coach. When you hire that guy, there's a pretty good chance that Shane Beamer's a fairly good-looking dude.
By the way, it's the same. You're right. And you said it with women. The good-looking pharmaceutical sales rep, they're trying to sell you a drug that'll get you hooked and may kill you in the future.